Good afternoon. Today we're going to discuss Chapter 10, which is delivering a speech. By now, hopefully, you've read Chapter 10 and looked at the annotations that I've provided. So I just want to highlight some of the important components of the chapter. The first thing that Chapter 10 does is talk about ways that we can manage public speaking anxiety. It goes through some different types of anxiety. The most important thing for you to remember here is that public speaking anxiety is completely normal. You should expect it. If you talk to people who speak in public on daily basis, they will still tell you that they get nervous before getting up to present. So it's a completely normal thing. It also is something that we can manage and work through. And if you remember, your book talked about three ways that we can manage and address public speaking anxiety. The first was systemic desensitization, which means that you just give yourself more exposure to public speaking. It's one of the things that this class helps with, is that it gets you a little more comfortable speaking, standing up in front of an audience, whether that's a live audience or you'll be posting in the discussion board post, but it just gets you more familiar with that process. You get to work through things, all of that. Second is cognitive restructuring. So we look at how we view public speaking and how we talk to ourselves about public speaking. One of the most important things you can do is to treat public speaking like a conversation. So the goal is to connect to the audience and make sure that they understand your message. And so if you view it like that instead of a performance, that can help. And also just giving yourself positive reinforcement messages and visualizing yourself doing this speech successfully. And then the last way that we can talk about ways to address public speaking anxiety or just skills training, that is certainly one of the things that we're going to do in this class. And so you'll be able to identify some places that you're really strong in, some places that you want to help develop and increase your competency more. And we'll work through those. When you deliver the speeches, I'm going to give you a ton of feedback that talks about how you did the content and the delivery, and those are meant to help you develop as a public speaker. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is that in this section, there were some good activities and techniques for both physical relaxation and vocal warm-ups. I linked a video with some more vocal warm-ups there that I think that you would find helpful. So make sure you go back and review those and use those, especially as we get into the first speech. Section 2 of the text talked about different delivery methods and practice sessions. Remember, there are 4 modes of delivery. For our class, we are going to use extemporaneous delivery. There are a couple of reasons for that. One is it's the most common delivery style in any sort of professional environment. So if you think of professors lecturing to you in a class, that's extemporaneous delivery. Almost any sort of business presentation is extemporaneous delivery. Pastors, preachers, most of them use an extemporaneous delivery style. And all that means is that you have a solid structure, you've researched and supported your speech, you've practiced it, you're well comfortable with your material, but you haven't worked out word for word what you're going to say. And so there are some great videos that I've linked in this section that talk about extemporaneous delivery and also help you develop that some. So I would encourage you to read those and look at that as you're reading chapter 10.2. The other thing is that practice is very important for a polished delivery, and there are 3 phases that you practice as you are working on the speech. The first one begins as you're working on the outline. You should be speaking that out loud, seeing how it sounds, making sure that you have enough content. You're beginning to familiarize yourself with the structure that you have, the support, all of those things. Second is practicing for feedback. So you are practicing the speech either in front of people that can give you feedback, or record it and then give yourself feedback that's there. And then also you want to practice for final touches. So before you get ready to record your speech, you want to practice it, make sure that everything flows correctly together. Again, I would encourage you to review the do's and don'ts in the chapter. Section 10.3 talks about vocal delivery. Some important things are speakers should use vocal variety, which means changes in rate, so how fast you speak, changes in volume, so how quickly or slowly you speak, and then changes in pitch, so how high your voice goes or how deep your voice goes. And again, I've linked a YouTube video there that's an excellent resource for you to help develop some vocal variety skills. Remember, effective pronunciation and articulation can enhance clarity, and then managing verbal hiccups and vocal fillers can increase credibility. You're not going to have a 100% perfect delivery verbally. You're going to have some pauses, you're going to have some flubs, and that's okay. We all do. That's part of the conversational delivery style. But if you notice when you're practicing that you say a whole lot or you say like a whole lot, it lets you evaluate those and try to make some changes there. And then the last section is talked about physical delivery, which looks at everything from facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, all of those things. Remember, facial expressions allow us to connect to the audience. It's how we show our emotion with the topic, our interest in the topic. Eye contact allows us to connect to the audience and show a connection to them. Gestures, movement, posture should all be very natural. You want to use gestures when they help emphasize certain parts of your speech. And you want to have movement on transition statements, but you don't want to just be pacing back and forth or have any distracting movement. I would remind you again that professional appearance increases your audience's credibility, and then it also increases your confidence in yourself. So I would strongly encourage you to dress professionally as you're delivering the speech. And then remember, visual aids can be great if used effectively, but they can also be harmful or detrimental if they're not well used or rehearsed. So that is chapter 10 that talks about delivery. There are definitely some skills that you're going to want to include as we begin working on the speeches. I hope you have a great week. And if you have any questions about chapter 10, please don't hesitate to let me know.